Welcome, everybody, to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and with me tonight is Josh Froelich and Scott Greene. Gentlemen, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing awesome. I'm in the spirit. I got my little shotgun sitting behind me here. We're about to talk about some IPSC shotgun, and you guys had a pretty good go at it, so I'm interested to chat with you here.
Sounds good. You should shoot a little IPSC shotgun with us one of these days. Get that scattergun out. I don't know if that tube's legal, but
yeah. Do I need a longer one or a shorter one?
I don't know. I don't know all the rules. That's a tube gun. I don't know anything about
it. No mag, no care.
Yeah, correct.
Josh, that should be your new hashtag. Only shoot open is kind of played out, man. No mag, no care. You can have that one. That one's yours.
Thanks.
Scott, my man, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing pretty good, Dave. Just enjoying the warm weather back home.
Awesome. Well, we are trying a new format here tonight. We are doing this live on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, you can check out the video on the Three Gun Show YouTube channel, and that's just threegunshow.com/YouTube. And of course, we're going to share that in all the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Tweeters and stuff. So you can see the replay everywhere. But dudes, I'm excited to do this with you. The first time where you've done basically a live show with three of us.
Yep, cool.
Bold strategy.
Yeah, we'll see how she works, right? Yeah, for folks just catching on here, we had planned to do this interview, and I said yes before I really figured out like the logistics of how we were going to do it. And Scott and I did a Breaking Open with Adam Maxwell. We tried to do a recorded screen with Skype, and it ended up like each of us freezing about 34 times. Took about 4 hours, and I was like, I don't want to do that again. So before we got going here, I texted these guys and said, hey, what if we do it on YouTube? It's the future. It's what the kids are doing now. So here we are.
It's working good so far. Yeah, I don't have any issues with video quality or audio, so I think you chose a winner.
All right. Well, time will tell.
All right.
So guys, we're here to talk about the IPSC World Shoot that you both just got back from in Châteauroux. Is that right? Châteauroux, France?
Close enough, yes.
Close enough for Americans?
Yes.
Yep. South of Paris, 3 hours, something like that. I didn't learn any of the language or the city names, but no, the rest of the folks in the house seemed like fluent in French by the time we left. So
I learned water's ooh, and that's all I got. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, you think going to a restaurant and trying to order water, you just say water. We could never get water, so we had to pull out the Google Translate app and talk into the phone and do that whole thing. It was terrible.
Well, on the other side of that, if someone from France asked me for ooh, I would have no clue what they were talking about.
Ooh.
It was weird. So I'm not much of an international traveler, and we were 3 hours away from like Paris, which is where everyone speaks English. And you get into the sticks in France, and people don't speak English. All the menus are 100% French.
Mm-hmm.
I was at restaurants looking at other people's plates like, I'll take that, and like pointing at food on other people's plates because I couldn't read the menu and they didn't speak English. So I was like, well, that looks good. I guess I'll have one of those. Yeah.
You think you'd find somebody speaking a little bit of English, but no, nobody.
That's
nobody.
Such an American point of view there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's like not one guy, not one of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, so I've never done any sort of world traveling or anything like that. The farthest I've been is I guess Virginia. so you guys got one on me there, but it reminds me of going to Rock Castle and shooting with some of the guys from Kentucky, and you almost need a translator sometimes. So I wonder if it's like a original sort of dialect, or if it's just different across the world, or what.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The other part is the language barrier at the match, right? So you're shooting with all these folks from different countries, and again, most of them, like us, don't speak or choose not to speak much English during the match with you. And so getting through the 2 weeks on the range and at restaurants and out in public and all of that was a little trickier than I thought it would be. I mean, you can stay fed and get what you need because they take visa, but thank goodness. But the communication, your ability to communicate over there was a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Well, that seems, intuitive because you're going to a different country, but was that something that you had planned for? Like, Josh, I know you're a super planner and super trainer. Was there any sort of mind paid to that, or was it just all on tossing shotgun shells through the shotgun?
Yeah, none, zero. I mean, remember that American point of view thing you brought up?
Well, yeah.
I just assumed that they would speak English, and they didn't. So my assumption was wrong.
Well, I've seen Star Trek, and so I know we're all heading toward all English, but we're not there yet. So
I can confirm that. Yeah.
Well, good times. So let's back up a little bit here, guys. We've got hour and a half to deal with here. So I want to see if we can jam this big story that is you guys going to France for the IPSC World Shoot, and spoiler alert, kicking ass and taking names. I want to see if we can jam that into an hour and a half here. So let's start, Scott. Let's start with you, man. What is the selection process like? Like, how did you first hear about the World Shoot? What made you want to do it? And then you, my friend, even decided to jump divisions this year. So what was the start of that?
So I heard about it back when I first started. Would watch, I think it was called the old not Top Shot or Hot Shot. Maybe it was Hot Shots on YouTube. And they had some videos of the first shotgun World Shoot where Lena went and Jerry went, and they had the cameras trailing them the whole time.
It was only 3 years ago, right?
That one was 6 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I saw that, and then I got into shooting right around that same time. But as far as me actually wanting to go and division jumping, it was actually Josh who convinced me to go back in November at Three Gun Nation Nationals.
Yep.
Yep. He and Mike Whitesides have been poking me for a minute about getting over there, and finally committed to it, and then just ran with it after that.
Now, why is that, Josh? Obviously, this was on your radar too, so I want to know about that. But why bring in more competition for you?
Wow.
Why wouldn't you convince someone like me who's easy to beat?
Man, I want to shoot against the best. That's part of the reason that I want it. No, you. It was meant to be a compliment to Scott, not a dig to you.
No, we all took it that way.
Okay. So about a year ago, I was all in on shotgun. I've been shooting shotgun matches all over the country, and they've been going well. And so I looked at IPSC World Shotgun Championship as really an opportunity to test the skills that I've been developing in the States. So Mike Whitesides, myself, we were trying to figure out who the heck, as if we didn't have control anyway, but in the imaginary world, we were trying to figure out what the top U.S. Open team would look like. And we knew Scott built Peppers, and we knew he didn't shoot one, but we knew that he was a hell of a shooter. And so we figured Mike, myself, get Scott Greene on the list, and maybe add, Joel if we could get him. We couldn't. Kalani, a couple of these other guys that run a box magazine fed shotgun, and get them to put together a 4-person team, men's team, for Open. So that was the original goal that Mike and I had with getting Scott to shoot Open was, hey, let's put a team together where we could go over and kick some butt overseas and show them how we play scatterguns in the U.S. And so
it started out as like a fantasy football type of thing, right?
Yeah.
If everything was perfect, how would I pick a team here?
That was it. Yep. And we were just trying to gauge interest. And, that's at that match is where I really realized that Scott was building Vepers. And I'm like, dude, you build these guns and you don't shoot open. I'm like, all right, we'll get this guy. We'll get him moved over.
Yeah, it wasn't very hard to get me to move. A couple of pokes and prods, and yeah, it's hard to work on those every day and then not shoot one. It didn't make any sense. But
now, is that from like an R&D sort of thing, Scott, or is that just it's such a cool platform that I want to play with it?
It's just so cool to play with those things and tweak them a little bit and try to get them to shoot softer here, flatter here, better here, and then not actually shoot those in a match. Just seem kind of weird to work on them all the time and then not actually shoot them in a match.
Okay, makes sense. So, Josh, back to your story there.
Yeah, so talked to Scott, tried to get him in. He came in, and I guess the rest is history. He's been shooting lights out and open this year, and it's been fun to have a guy to go to war with at all these big matches. Scott and I, we've been joking that we keep trading matches. I'll win one, he'll win one, I'll win one, and you really got to bring your A game when you've got great competition, and so it's been a lot of fun this year. I really like it. So I'm glad Scott's here, and I'm glad Joel and a couple other top shooters have come over to open, because it's one of those deals where you really gotta work hard before you go to the match, or you're not gonna do well against all of these guys, which is cool. Love it.
It is a cool thing. It like elevates the level of competition in the entire division when you have better players there, right? Makes you up your game, they up their game, and keep going, right?
Yeah. Yep, I love it.
Awesome. Well, so how do you do this? I mean, is there like a PayPal button you can just send USPSA, like I want to go shoot the World Shoot, or buy it now, or what?
No, a bunch of us bugged Mike Foley for like a year, way before he was ready to talk about it, and we tried to get on his radar and put teams together and do some of that kind of stuff, and we weren't able to get most of that going until he figured out what the slots looked like, how many the US had, and some of that. And then in the US, we don't really have matches in shotgun that determine who should be on the team. And so that was another kind of complex process that took a while.
That's a tough part, because if USPSA is the sanctioning body and they look at like all their shotgun matches, well, you come up with 0. So let's look at all our multi-gun matches, which there's a handful,
like 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, so there's USPSA multi-gun nationals, Area 6, a couple other areas and stuff. But when it comes down to it, like they don't have the tools to pick someone who's good at shotgun. Like they don't have the field. So did they go to Outlaw, or is it just like, oh, hey, let's see who shoots PCC, because it's kind of the same thing?
Well, they didn't consider any Outlaw matches at all. So the selection criteria was who shot IPSC internationally, who shot IPSC in the States, and multi-gun nats placement. So like those were the considerations that were taken into account. Could be another match they thought about too, or something like that. But for the most part, it was who's got the most experience shooting IPSC. That's really how they pick the teams, is through a points process with who's got the most experience.
So that's how they pick the teams. Is that also how they pick the other spots that were that people were going? Because I mean, Josh, you went, but it wasn't on a team, right?
Correct. Yep. So, well, and because this was my first IPSC match, right? I'd never shot an IPSC match before Worlds. And
honestly, I didn't even know they existed in the US until this whole selection process.
No, I know. And I had never shot multi-gun nats before either. And so I had like 0 points on the scale. And so I got invited to join the group, not on a team, but as an individual, as the teams were, picked based on experience.
Now, so is the group fairly simple to get into, or was there an application process for that as well?
technically an application process, but it was, if you want to go and you're committed to showing up, being respectful, and bringing your A game, they let you come. I mean, there were some shooters there that weren't necessarily the top U.S. shooters, but were allowed to come because we had enough slots.
Okay. All right. And so, Scott, same, obviously same criteria for you. How did the selection process go for you? Because you're from out west. Well, I think we said 9 hours, 10 from Vegas, which is
7 hours.
7 hours from Multi-Gun Nationals. So that's, ostensibly like right in your backyard when you look at the U.S. map.
Yeah, Vegas is the closest major match that we have, and they have 3 a year down there. So I had been to every Multi-Gun National since I started shooting in 2015. Yeah, so I have been to the last 3 in a row. And then I actually went to Indonesia in 2016 to shoot a IPSC match as well. So that got me the quote-unquote points that they used to select the team.
Got it. So you made the open shotgun world team, or U.S. whatever, lots of words.
Yes,
strung together. I got you. Okay, yeah. So then once you get your okay, we're talking about a division change. We're talking about practice time. We're talking about trying to fit in with your match schedule. What was the planning like for that?
It was basically bail on everything except for the shotgun matches that Lucas put on and multi-gun nationals. I bailed every other plan I had, shot very little local matches, and just worked on training with just the shotgun. And that's what it looked like for the last, since I found out in January or February that I was going over there. That's basically all I did was shoot shotgun for 6 months.
Yeah. Do you hate the shotgun now?
No, not at all. I love the shotgun. No, I want to go back. I want to go back right now. I want to shoot more.
60 stages.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, Josh, what was that experience like for you as far as once you get the okay, you're going?
Yep.
Well, actually, let's back up a little bit. So you didn't make the world team. How did you deal with that, and why did you decide to still go and do the match anyway?
Well, I was disappointed. I have I assumed that they would take Outlaw into consideration. I haven't lost a shotgun match in almost 3 years. I've taken first at every major shotgun match I've attended for 3 years. So I'm like, I think I should probably be on the team. So I was disappointed, when I didn't get on, but, really, my thought on it was, well, bummer that I won't be able to represent the team, but my goal hasn't changed. I want to go and compete against the rest of the world, and I would like to win. And so, like, all of my training stayed the same. All of my goals stayed the same. The only difference was, I didn't have team on the back of my jersey, right? And so in my mind, I was still going to do the same thing that I wanted to do in the first place. So it's still the same opportunity as far as I was concerned once I got over a little bit of disappointment.
Okay. All right then. Well, so how did your training strategy come together? Like, did you sit down and plan this, or did you just go get a case of Federal and start pulling the trigger?
It started on this magical thing that we're on tonight, YouTube. So in open division, the Russians and the guys from the Czech Republic, and there's a couple of countries, specifically those two, that have just monsters of box magazine fed shotgun shooters that are amazingly talented and put some decent content out. So I could watch every stage from the 2015 World Shoot that Vaclav shot, who won the match, and get a feel for the way that it was last time. And then I watched a bunch of the Russian shooters as well shoot their style, and then the World Shoot style matches. And so I studied a ton of film on every IPSC open division shotgun match I could find on YouTube, and then followed all of the top shooters that I found, and then looked at what they were doing and how they were doing it, and took what I thought was valuable, and then brought my own style into to a lot of it. So tons of homework is the answer, because it's a different game than we play here in the States.
Yeah, it's way different. I was talking to Lan Win this morning, and we were chatting a little bit about the differences. But why don't you take a minute and fill the audience in and tell them like how is this different than like a 3-gun all shotgun stage? Like you'd think like, oh yeah, I've shot an all shotgun stage. I can go shoot IPSC. Well, I hear you guys giggling because that's clearly not the case. But
yeah, no, you need to for IPSC, you need to know what every choke in your toolbox does at every bit of distance. I should say every choke above, IC. I didn't use anything lighter than light mod in the world match, and I shot much of the match in full improved mod and mod chokes. And it's because there's tight no shoots that'll half cover a target, that you have to use the edge of your pattern with a full choke at 23 yards. So you have to understand exactly what the pattern. There's more dope information knowledge needed for the shotgun IPSC than there is for me in long range. I need to know
really
more, sure, because you have every kind of choke, every type of ammo that you bring, and then every bit of distance. So every couple of yards increments that you have to study and understand, and not just have on paper, but now you have to build it into your mind so you don't have to think about it. You look at that target and that's 18 to 20 yards. Instinctively, I know where I need to hold the dot to pull the trigger and not pick up that no shoot, versus having to measure it off in my head and shoot slow. So you got to be able to shoot around tight no shoots just as quickly as if they weren't there, or you won't shoot a decent time in that. The other part is, well, there's a bunch of other parts, but the other major part that's different in open in IPSC than open in the States is you're only allowed 10 rounds in the mag. So it's like USPSA production with shotguns. So a field course, if you're moving, you're probably reloading the gun. And so, every stage you've got, not every stage, at least half of the stages you've got a reload or two, even on like a 12 or 16 round field course. So you're slamming reloads, lots of tight no shoots, can't leave the shooting area or you get penalties for shortcutting. So they'll make it like super advantageous. Like in the US, we would just run right across the wide open area. And they almost like bait you. Like, here's a giant corner, jump over it or run around. And,
come here, Americans.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah. So there's definitely some style stuff
Racist.
there. I don't know if it's racist.
It's probably not, but
but those are some of the biggest pieces. And then buckshot. Lots of buckshot.
Yeah, buckshot's one of those things that kind of ate my lunch. I got to shoot one of those prep matches too that was put on by Gadsden Shooting Center. They had several of the people that were actually, it was all ladies. Several of the ladies that were going to the world shoot there, and a couple of the stages had buckshot, and just I was so far, it's not anywhere near where I thought it was hitting. So it's buckshot's a weird animal.
Well, it is. And so here in the States, I'll run flight control, right? I mean, flight control buckshot is what we use with an IC choke or whatever. You go over there and you're not allowed to run flight control. And then they push you out. I took buckshots out to 36 yards at this match. So with no shoots around them. And I picked up no shoots. I didn't shoot those stages very well because I underestimated how tight the no shoot was and assumed that I'd be fine, because when I'm standing still or darn near bench rest, I can make that shot. Well, yeah, that's not how it works in the match when you're running all over the place.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Good times. Well, Scott, what did your training plan look like leading up to the world shoot?
It's almost identical to what Josh just did. Started off on YouTube and watched every bit of video I could find from every world shoot, every IPSC shotgun match, and then see what's different between what they do and what we do, and then try to work on training around that. like you said, patterning was huge. You have to pattern every choke at every distance with every kind of ammo you're going to use, and you have to actually know how to use it and not just look at the sheet and say, "Oh, this should work." Then, yeah. So it's a lot different, and then you got to have confidence with it, and then it's really hard to cram all that in. In I don't know, 6 months, a year, I did. I wish I had another 3 months to prepare, but when I went over there, I felt pretty confident, but there were still small differences that I wasn't quite ready for. They had a lot of timing stages, like little 8-round stages where they have 3 to 5 swinging clays or targets in different areas, and there's a lot of timing involved. And I wasn't ready for those at all, and those really hurt me. Yeah, they're only 8-round stages, and they're only worth 40, 50 points. But when you have they have 12 of those in the match, something like that, 15 in the match, they add up really quick.
Yeah. And the timing stuff over there with the swinger is different. In the States, our swingers are cakewalk at most of the matches, because in the States, the presentation, it allows you to shoot the clays when they stall, before they come back. Not one time did that happen in IPSC. So they have hardcover, and you'll just catch just a little glimpse of them, and they blindly just come flying out of nowhere. And so it's stand and bang timing stages that those were awful for me too. They were my worst stages. They were difficult, and by the end of the match, I was starting to pick it up, but I was not prepared for those either.
Scott, before we move on here, whenever you touch your desk, we can hear the pops in the microphones. So try to minimize your hand movement when you're chatting.
Knock it off, Scott.
Yeah. Was I actually doing that?
Yeah. So if you just pick your hand up and put it on the desk, we can hear it in the mic. But so, Scott, when you got to France and you're actually shooting the stages outside of your prep's all over, you're there, you're in the match. What was the biggest surprise that you had that maybe you weren't quite prepared for? Can't say swingers. We already talked about that one.
The biggest thing I was not prepared for. I think I was prepared for most of it. I felt pretty confident, and nothing I saw looked challenging until I actually shot it.
Yeah.
The no shoots, I practiced tighter no shoots at home. I wasn't worried about those. The distance, I practiced that at home. A lot of maybe actually the whole concept of shoot 2 to 3 rounds over here and then run way over here and shoot 2 to 3 rounds, reload, run way over there, shoot 2 to 3 more rounds. That was a little new to me. I tend to want to shoot on the move. And when I have an area where I actually cannot shoot on the move, the foot speed just wasn't there for me. I need to work on that a little more.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed when I was watching some of the videos that y'all put up when you were shooting the match, is that, and Josh, I think it was on one of your videos, it was there was this big bridge and then like a little roundabout at the end you had to do, and it was basically a retreat stage. And I thought, like, God, is that like 13 rounds of shotgun and just a shitload of running? And it sure enough was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, 16 rounds and like maybe 120, 130 yards you had to run throughout the stage.
Yeah. I mean, that's, first of all, it's definitely different than what we would do. You know, if you had something like that in a major match, people would complain about it here. It's unique when there's 30 stages involved, and it's obviously a different flavor of shooting. But I found myself like just enthralled with the videos you guys were putting out on Instagram and Facebook, checking them out. I mean, first of all, they all fit on Instagram. They're all less than 60 seconds, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I really thought the style was unique. Josh, I want to ask the same question to you. Was there anything that you thought you had nailed, but when you got to the stage, and again, you can't say swinger, that you had not quite planned for, or maybe didn't plan for quite as well as you wanted?
So yes, I'd say that I had to adapt to the unique shooting environment and the pressure. So at a match like this in IPSC, it's like a gentleman's game. So like they'll quiet the people behind the shooting area. It's silence when you're about to shoot. We're making fun of each other when we're on the line in the US, right? We're like, don't forget that target. I saw you run by it in the walkthrough. Like, you know, none of that. in this. It's a silence. And
we could probably stand for a little bit more respect.
Yeah, we probably could. We probably could. So that piece, just that maybe the ultimate calm before the storm when you're about to just go like crazy, was a little different. It was almost eerie on the first couple of stages, and then I started to adjust to it. I'd say the other part was, even though I had prepared for it, I shot the last 6 weeks of local matches, which wasn't a lot. I did mostly practice, very few locals. But when I did shoot matches in the States, I did 3-minute walkthroughs. I didn't do any pre-match walkthrough because in IPSC, I knew that I would have 3-minute walkthroughs. Well, it wasn't actually 3 minutes on every stage. Some stages were literally 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes, depending on how long the stage was as far as round count. So imagine a 2-minute walkthrough with 12 guys at the World Championship that all want to just hover in the 2 spots on the stage that you can shoot. And so you get maybe,
and then trying to be polite to those people. And
so they don't all speak English. And so you get like 5 or 7 seconds of like actual look at what you're going to shoot from the shooting area in the spots you're going to shoot them from before it's live, before it's go time.
Interesting.
You better have done your scouting beforehand, because you're going to get 1, maybe 2 good looks at a stage, and that's all you're going to get.
And what do you mean by scouting beforehand, Scott?
Well, you can't walk the stages before the match, and you can't walk them.
Now, are they like roped off and everything? Or
they have some tape there. They have some tape up there, and they have some migrating ROs that'll walk around there while people are walking around. But you're not allowed to walk through the stages. You're not allowed to walk up to a certain point away from the stages. They had taped off. And then if you don't do your homework there and pick out where the targets are at, you're going to end up panicking in the last minute, in the last walkthrough, and probably forget one or shoot at one twice or some kind of crazy thing. You have to have a good plan and know what's going to work where.
Now, in the walkthrough, do you have to stay inside the shooting area, or are you allowed to leave at that point?
You can leave the shooting area during the walkthrough, but
can't go down range.
You can't go down range.
Oh, okay. So you can't go look at a target or something like that?
No.
So
count them.
I thought that it was a disadvantage to do reset. And then when I noticed, like in the US, like, because we all go reset and it's like, it's a bummer. I'm worn out by the end of the day.
Yeah, constantly one-legged deadlifting. 8 pounds of steel.
The first thing I wanted to do when we got out there is I wanted to see how heavy that steel was. I didn't even realize it, but it's like after the first shooter, like I wanted to run down and pick up the big popper. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, I better choke up one more just in case. Because you don't ever get to touch the targetry, not once in the whole match.
Yeah, you touch your gun and your bag, and that's about it.
Interesting. All right. So as far as like touching your guns and your bag, which is worse, USPSA multi-gun nationals or IPSC shotgun world shoot?
Multi-gun nationals.
Truth. Yeah.
It's not even close.
All right, guys. We talked about the training leading up to it and a little bit about the match here. I want to kind of switch gears and talk about the experience of traveling over there. And we don't need to spend a whole bunch of time on this, but you guys left the country with some Russian shotguns. How was that?
Go ahead, Josh.
It was a non-issue. So from the US side of things, I fly out every month, and going internationally, you got to get all the paperwork right on the front end. And every one of us did the necessary paperwork to make sure that we were good. So there's like one more stamp or, 2 more rubber stamps that they got to hit before you can leave the country, go with guns. But that was easy. And then I would say we were, it was good for us that World Shoot was there, because by the time I rolled into the airport in France, in Paris, probably 500 other shooters came through with shotguns. And so like they didn't care by the time I got there, so it was not a thing. They didn't even want me to open the box. They're like, what do you got in there? It was 2 shotguns. You want the paperwork? They're like, you going to the match? It's like, yep. Like, okay, you're good. Nothing. That was it. So that was a surprise. I thought it'd be a bigger thing.
Huh. Well, Scott, you flew from a different airport? Was it the same experience for you?
Yeah, getting there was super easy. Super easy. Just like you said, get all the proper paperwork filled out. Get your little stamps you need. Go see customs, get their form, and then make sure you have a couple pieces of paper, and that's it. And you get over there, have them look at the paperwork, sign it off, and you're good to go. Mm-hmm. Coming back, we did not have the easiest experience coming back.
So is Sky back in Texas now, or is she still in purgatory?
Sky made it back to Texas after 50 plus hours stuck in San Francisco.
So this is Sky Killian, your fellow Limcat shooter, right?
Yes.
And she was on the what do we call it? Group? It's like a team, right? Like 70 people were the team. Are we still calling it that? How do we address these people?
Yeah, 36 members of the U.S. shooting group.
Group. Okay. Yeah. So she was one of the 36 members of the U.S. shooting group that went to France. So, okay, take it away, Scott. Like, what happened to Sky on the way back?
So we booked our flight with Delta, and going there, no issue. Coming back, we didn't know Delta and Air France are the same thing, basically. So our flight coming home was on an Air France flight. And Air France requires 48 hours notice before you bring a gun or ammo on the flight. We didn't know we had an Air France flight until we got to the airport.
Oh.
So
why do they need 48 hours?
Their policy. We tried to. The communication was tough. But there was
those pesky non-English speakers.
No, they had a little bit of English in there, but just enough to keep us there for 3 hours at baggage check. Yeah, so we sat there for 3 hours at baggage check and made about 20 dozen different phone calls back and forth trying to get people to sign off and get agreements from here or approve it from here, and then have those guys call each other and call us back. And long story short, we got that done in Paris and then had to run to the train, run through security, run to our gate, and we got on the plane about 10 to 20 minutes before they closed the door behind us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that wasn't the bad part. We get to San Francisco where we landed after our flight. And so Sky, Johnny Lim, and Julian Lim, Johnny's son, we all checked in at the exact same time with all of our guns stacked together, dropped it off with security, and then left with those with security. We get to San Francisco. My guns, Johnny's guns, and Julian's guns are there, and Sky's are not. Somehow, between when we put all 4 cases on a pile between Paris and San Francisco, Sky's got left in Paris.
Okay.
Now, since it's an international flight, wherever the gun, this is what the people at the airport in San Francisco told us. Since the gun's coming into the country, they can't forward it from that port to somewhere else without inspecting what's in the case. Now, Sky had a connecting flight back to Texas.
Well, she's got the keys and the locks, right?
She has the keys and the locks, and she has a flight in like 3 hours to Texas. Her bag doesn't show up. She misses her flight.
Huh.
And they say if Air France can ship it directly to Texas, that'd be fine. She can go there, pick it up directly there, but they don't fly directly to Texas. They only fly to San Francisco and a few East Coast cities and then maybe Seattle. Now, San Francisco told Sky she can go home, but they cannot send her gun to her. She has to be there to claim it. Otherwise, they're going to impound it.
I mean, that's not funny. That's funny, tragic, but
yeah. So she's the next day. They tell her, okay, we'll try to send it on the next flight, right? And they don't know if it's on there or not.
So hang on, you said next day. So is she just like camping out in the airport?
Air France bought her a hotel for that night, and she went there for that night and came back the next day. For the next flight from Paris came in, and they would check the airline for that case. Well, the next day came, airline came, the gun didn't come.
Oh,
the gun was still in Paris. So the next flight comes the following day. And then, long story short, 50 hours later, it showed up. She finally got it and got back home to Texas. But 50-something hours stuck in San Francisco.
So first of all, 50 hours in San Francisco doesn't sound like a great time. Second, my understanding is they were not very nice to her as well.
Yeah, they were complaining about having to put her up in a hotel for another night.
After they misplaced her guns.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's I stopped bugging her after that. Let her get home and said, "You made it home?" She's like, "Yeah." Okay, I'm done. Good. Go sleep.
Yeah. She cool now?
She's fine now. She shut the Aguila Cup and got High Lady in the.
All right. Hey,
I think. Yeah.
Must not be doing too bad then.
Yeah, she survived.
Her gun must still work too. Even wow.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. They didn't screw anything up.
Good times. Well,
so while it can be really easy, it can be horribly bad.
So it sounds like IPSC, you need to know the rules, and then you need to follow those rules.
Yes.
And then you're severely punished if you don't know the rules, right?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. All right. Well, okay. So you made it there. You're Scott, you did a little bit of sightseeing. Josh, did you get there early and do some sightseeing, or was it just a dry fire nonstop in the Uber all the way there?
I didn't do anything but practice and shoot guns. So part of me wishes that I would have checked some stuff out while I was over there, but the other part of me is like, well, it worked. So, I spent the time wisely. They had a day off in the middle of the match, which, my first impulse before we left was like, oh yeah, a day off. I'll take the day off. It's like my wife and my mom actually came with. They'd never seen me shoot at a major match, and so it's like,
wow,
that one. Yeah. Well, it was kind of better than Timbuktu, where we go out and they're weighing in the sticks and there's nothing.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah. So they came with, and they were kind of expecting me to come on that Thursday day off and go to Paris or something, but I ducked on them. The day before, I just said, hey, there's no way I'm taking my head out of this match. So I went and practiced and shot a couple 100 rounds that day, went to the range, kept doing like, stage reviews, stuff like that, trying to keep my head in the game. Cause talk about a difficult situation. You shoot 3 days, then you shoot the morning, or like you shoot 2 days, then you shoot the morning of the third day. Then you're off the afternoon, you're off the next day, and you're off the following morning. So you really have like 48 hours off in the middle of this huge match.
Right.
And then you've got to bring it for the last 2 days. And even with my practice and staying on the range, the day off, like I still felt like it was a brand new match when I came back after the break. I didn't love it. I wish there was a break.
Yeah. So you have that first stage jitters and the first stage, God, what I don't know. My first stage is of a match is always slow, right? It's like, God, what? And like, I'm running through molasses. Like I got to pick this up, and that's one of the things that I need to work on myself. So did you find that as well? It's like you've been iced this whole time and now you're back to stage one.
No, I felt good. I shot a decent stage, shot a good day, but just mentally when I got out to the range that day for the afternoon, it took me probably an hour of like I got to get up and move. I was jogging a little bit around the range and jumping around and shaking, getting some blood flow going and taking shots of espresso, trying to get ready to rock.
Yeah, baby,
get pumped. And they do have good coffee over there. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff's fire. Yeah. But so I mean, it took a little bit of extra oomph to get going on that. After 48 hours of not shooting at a huge match like that. Didn't love that.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Now, Scott, was your schedule like that too? I know you had a day off, but was it a 48-hour period?
No, well, it was, yes, but I absolutely hated my schedule. I had Tuesday off.
Right. So you shoot one day.
I get all jazzed up, shoot one day, and then stop for 48 hours essentially. And then come back and try to get it all going again. And by then, people have already shot 2 or 3 days, and you've shot one.
Yeah.
And I just had a hard time getting it going in the beginning because of that. And I didn't really get comfortable and spooled up to where I felt super confident until the last, 2 or 3 days.
Mhm.
I would have loved to have either no days off or the first day, Monday off, and then just go 5 days in a row after that.
Yeah. Now, okay, so serious question here, guys. In three gun, a lot of times people have a little too much fun on that first night after the shooting's done. And maybe they're a little hungover for the match the next day. Did you observe that? I know both of you were good boys. Did you observe that in your fellow competitors, or was this like people are taking this super seriously?
No, I didn't see any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I
No?
saw everyone taking it pretty damn serious over there.
Yeah, we got to like day 4 of the match though, and the guys that had already fell to pieces. There were a couple of guys. I heard one story about some dude from I don't remember where. I won't say if I did, but swimming in a fountain in the middle of some downtown square.
I didn't hear that story yet.
Oh yeah, he wasn't from the U.S. So there's some rowdy business going on after 4 or 5 days into the match. I mean, 4 or 5 days in, if you're in the mix.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not. And if you're not, it's time for vacation, I guess, is the way they looked at it. And so,
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I want to move on to the opening ceremony and talk about that for a minute. But there's a question in the chat. Can you guys laze targets from the back of the stage, then subtract the distance to the shooting area before the walkthrough?
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So y'all thought of that?
No, I brought it with, and I was like, oh, I won't be able to use it anyway. And then I did the full first day of looking at all 30 stages without it. And then I saw my buddy Timu, Finland guy that just crushed it and modified. He had his rangefinder around his neck. And I'm like, what are you doing with that? You're going to get in trouble. He's like, no, dude, you just can't use it when you're in the shooting area for your 3-minute walkthrough. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. So yes, you can laze stuff from the back and then subtract the distance between you and the shooting area and get very close. Yeah.
Got it. Now, is that something like a best practice that you would recommend doing next time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Get your little rangefinder, 1500 or whatever you got, and get out there and absolutely understand that, because of how important it is to get the right choke for the right distance in IPSC. Why not use the tools you have? Yeah, because you can't pace it off. You can't walk.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also can't use the rangefinder during the walkthrough. You can't have anything in your hands at all when you're walking through the stages before you shoot.
Like IDPA?
Yes.
Yeah. No, we found out you can air gun.
Yes.
So the first day I had my hands in my pockets because I was scared I was going to air gun. Because every time even on the back of the stage, when I'd look at it, I'd be like, bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, wait, I'm going to get a penalty. And so day one, the first stage brief, I'm like, can I air gun? And the lady's like, what is air gunning? I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, you can do that. Yes. Sweet, just like home. Okay.
Oh my god, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I want video of you walking around the stages with your hands in your pockets.
It only happened once. Yeah.
We'll find the video.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right, dudes. When we usually show up to a 3-gun match, like Josh said, it's out in the sticks in the middle of nowhere. And sometimes a guy will tell you where the stages are. Sometimes you're just kind of walking around. Sometimes you just need to know where everything is. What was the experience like when you got there? Because we kind of skip the formality and just get to the stages and start yanking triggers.
There was a gear check. That was the very first thing you did. Oh, very first thing we did, at least before we walked anything. You walk in. You get a big sign-up area. You go through different stations. You fill out different forms at each station. And then you finally go to the equipment check, and you bring everything up there, and they'll take your gun and go through. They'll measure the barrel length, measure the overall length. And it's all division specific. And then get you the A-OK to shoot. And then after that, you get some packets by then, some maps, and you just go out there and navigate their way around the range, which actually, it was very easy to do out there. They had everything sectioned off in 6 stage sections, and there were 5 sections on the range.
Oh, okay.
Super easy to navigate your way around.
Yeah, I looked at that range on Google Maps and then checked out their website, which again was confusing because none of it was in English. But what an amazing range that they've built there! Just absolutely gorgeous.
I've never seen berms that high before on some of the sections.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Those were awesome.
Like,
really?
Like 3 stories high on
No kidding.
on the slug and block stages. I mean, they were monstrous. You felt tiny just shooting in those bays. You know, some of them were 100, 150 yards long or whatever they were too, by 100 wide. And so that's all bayed in by 3-story tall tower of dirt. It's pretty wild. It's well done.
Well, and Josh, you shoot in Forest Lake, Minnesota, which I'm fond of saying are some of the nicest berms I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yep. So, yep. 2 stories there, though, man. They got you beat.
I know.
Yeah.
I hear those Americans have 2-story berms.
At a range, one of them. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So you check in your guns, you get the stamp of approval, smack you on the butt, send you on your way.
Yep. Yep. So that's the first step when you get to the ranges. Yeah, you make sure that you can actually compete, right? That all your gear is legit and legal and ready to go. And then they send you on your way. Chrono is part of the match if they choose to send you to chrono, if they believe that you're underpowered or overpowered. Land, for instance, someone thought his slugs sounded like too soft, so he got sent over to the chrono on a stage. But it's not required.
Right there.
Yes.
Yes. From Texas.
Yeah. And he goes, I had the worst stage of my match. And then as soon as I was done, the RO was like, those slugs don't sound hard enough. Oh, you're going to chrono. He's like, dude, I had the worst stage ever. It's not like I'm gaming anything.
He's like, adds insult to injury.
Yeah. Yeah. But so chrono was a thing, but we didn't all have to go through it. They had a test fire bay, which to me, at a major match is required. I can't imagine a major holding a match without allowing test fire. This one was for 20 euros, which is like $26. So that was a fee that I didn't expect. And then it was kind of limited. It was 10 guys standing on a line, and you got to go at like 7 yards, 12 yards. They just kind of move you back after you shot 10, 15 rounds. But it served the purpose. I knew my guns were going to function fine, and I knew my zero was still on after the travel, which again, that was my primary goal for a sight-in bay. So $26 or whatever, but it served the purpose. I knew and went into my first stage with confidence. So I'd pay $26 to do that in every match if I had to.
Seems like it should be included in the total.
You think?
Well, wait. The match was only $650 though.
Oh, well, now if it was $626 or excuse me, $676, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. So, but those costs, if you look at the way that they ran the match, you referenced, that 16-round field course that you ran 130 yards, and it was, I got a stage win on that one and at like 17 seconds, right? So you've got
like a stallion.
That was a fun stage. I love that one.
Destroyed that stage.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah.
But
Josh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I meant to tell you that when I saw that video, I was thinking to myself, you and I had talked about this several months ago about kicking up the training for more of like an athletic purpose rather than just yanking triggers. And so you did look fast. I don't know that I've ever seen you move that much distance, so I don't know if that was faster, but you definitely look lighter on your feet. You've dropped some weight, so that was part of the training program as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I dropped. I'm right around 32 pounds from where I was in January.
Nice work, dude.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. And then, along with my dry fire, I'm doing ladder drills and like toe touches, box jumps, explosive training, only like 10 minutes a day, but it's enough so that I can see some drastic changes in the way that I can move or get moving. Like my top speed's still where it was. I could always run. But like getting started and getting that first couple of steps off into a sprint is changed drastically since dropping that weight and some of those things.
Yeah. And so that's the type of thing that is specific to this match style, right? Like that's not going to help you on a 45 to 50 round jungle run very much. You're going to want to keep moving the whole time, right? But that explosiveness and changing directions and getting out of positions is perfect for this style of match.
Yep, it was required. I mean, I knew that I wouldn't just be able to go in there and shoot fast. And so sitting at about 260 in January, I was like, well, if I want to win this thing, or even be in the mix, I got to get in shape. And I didn't put like a magic number on. I don't care what I weigh. I care how I feel and how what kind of reaction I can get when I decide I want to go somewhere like quick. And so just develop that, and I'll probably drop another 10 or 15 pounds. It's just fallen off. I've just changed my eating habits, and with the amount of training and dry fire and stuff that I'm doing these days, it's just happening. And so hopefully continue on that road and continue to build some explosive speed and power. But it served me well in that match for sure.
Good. All right, so I interrupted you. You were talking about your favorite 17 round field course.
Well, they would never build that in the States. So I loved the style because it was different. But if you look at how much money they spent on props and on stuff like that for this match, I understand where the match fee went. That, and then the resetters, there's like 3 or 4 match resetters on every stage, plus 2 or 3 ROs. And, the shooter experience between props, stage design, ROs, handling stuff, resetters, all of that. It's like, well, we could do all that awesome stuff too. We probably don't need a $650 match, but if we bumped it from $250 to $350, we could have amazing matches. Not that they're bad, but like some of those small tweaks took this match, in my mind, just to the next level of professionalism. It was just cool to be part of.
Well, and you're looking at 30 stages too. So, we kind of got together under the halo of a match recon. And one of the things we do in the match recon is take the match fee divided by the number of stages and decide like how many would you shoot again. So this is $21.66 per stage. That's way lower than a lot of our major matches in the States.
Interesting. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, some of the one we talked about today, Task Force Dagger was like 3480 something. I think it was 3480 per stage.
Okay. Higher round count stages, right? I mean, some of these are 8 rounds, right? But
maybe
it's different. But
yeah, maybe it's cost per trigger yank that we do. That'll be our one for next year. We do.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I want to talk about the opening ceremony. What was that experience like? It's unlike anything we do in the United States. Scott, go for it, buddy.
It's kind of surreal to see. What do they have? 50 countries? No, not 50. 30 countries there, or something like that.
I don't know the answer. I'm not sure.
Somewhere between 1 and 190 countries.
I'd say that's right.
There's at least 2 that I know of.
Yeah. You get all these countries lined up, and like for example, the U.S. was like second to last to go, and so as we start walking through with all of our team and all of our jerseys, and the flags are waving, the music's playing, the crowd's cheering, and you walk by dozens of other countries all there to do the same thing you are. It's gets you pretty revved up. It's definitely something I won't forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good feeling. Good way to start the match.
Yeah, it's hard to go through that and then not shoot. You do that and you go home.
Yeah.
Well, in our case, Josh and I walk stages after that, but
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if like that was the thing, and then like you got a bald eagle sitting on your gun case and you just go straight to the stages?
F-18s fly overhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool for sure. I mean, I've never had the opportunity to represent the U.S. before, right? I mean, this is a country that I am so proud and blessed to be, a person that lives within this and gets to live within these rights that we have and all the blessings that we get. And to go over there and be like, the representative of the U.S. on the world stage was pretty cool. I mean, it was almost an emotional experience where it's like this is where I want to be. I want to spend time here. I want to do this again. I knew that right at the opening ceremony that this is something that's going to be a big part of my shooting career moving forward, is traveling overseas, representing the U.S. and just showing them how we do it in the U.S. even in their games.
So
those first 2 minutes of walking makes that entire travel time and prep time worth it.
Really?
Yeah. This is the wave that comes through. It's really cool to be there with all your teammates. And it's just I hope more people get to experience it. It's really something special.
Nice. That's great to hear, man. So, Josh, you mentioned it's going to be something you do in your career. So, are you going to be sticking to your 3-year cycle, or are you going to be doing some IPSC rifle, IPSC pistol?
All of the above. So, I don't know if I'll be doing. I shouldn't say. I don't know about IPSC pistol. I'm okay behind a pistol. I'm not bad. But I'm strongest behind a shotgun, and so I would like to continue to compete with the world on the shotgun stage for sure. So I'm going to go to CISO next year, which is the Central European Shotgun Open, which will be another 30-stage European IPSC shotgun match. Since Worlds won't be next year, CISO will be the largest match in the world for shotgun next year. So I'm going to that. That'll be in Hungary. I think it's in May or June or something like that. Okay. Yep. And then Russia's the home of the open division shotgun, man. Like they have so much heat in open. I think they had, I don't know this for sure, but like 5 or 6 guys in the top 12 in open, something like that. I mean, their whole team was in the mix, right? And these guys are solid open shooters. And so I want to go to shoot the Moscow Cup next year. So go to Russia with a Russian shotgun and shoot against the Russians. They were cool guys too. So I liked hanging out and talking to these guys. But so I'm going to do that next year too. I'm going to go to Moscow if I can get in with my guns, and hopefully I can get back out with my guns.
You get to take your little dissident arms Vepr back where it came from.
Yeah. Home sweet home.
Yeah. I'm going to show you where you came from, little buddy.
We'll see. So I've heard that with this current sanctions, that might be difficult to get my gun, and I can't get ammo there. I know that for sure. But made some friends over there that I have an invitation and a shotgun that I can run, and Russian ammo that'll work. And if I come there, a week ahead of time, they'll give me on as much access to the range with that gun and that ammo as I want before I shoot the match.
Sweet.
And their guns are similar. So like I'd be shooting a Kalashnikov Saga 340, which is their sporting shotgun. That's pretty well built out. It could use a little love from Mike and Lan at Dissident, but they don't have that luxury over there. So it'll be good. I'll be able to figure it out. It's got a magwell. It's got a trigger on it. Give me a week behind it. It's pretty similar. So
well, okay. So I'm sorry. We gotta sit on that for a minute. So you're the guy that has like the exact same guns. You have like the same fore end on your shotgun as you do on your rifle. You just said you can pick up anything and shoot it. Come on, man.
So no, these are close though. So like if you really put these guns right next to each other in the rack, they run a tubular handguard that is about the same diameter. They run the trigger that feels. I picked one of them up. And I was like, I could shoot this. The only big difference was the stock and the grip on the guns, and I really liked the grips that they use. They're these platform grips that kind of like hug your hand into the gun, the same one Whitesides use on his gun.
Yeah.
And so I'll probably be switching my shotguns over to that grip anyway, and so they will be close to what I shoot. It'll be, give me a week and I'll want like 5,000 rounds, obviously.
Oh God.
and like probably 8 hours a day on the range for 6 days straight, because if I go there I want to shoot well. But that's what I'm thinking.
Good times. All right, so the shotgun traveling, that's where it's at. Scott, have you gotten bit by the bug too? Are you going to be doing this big time now or what?
I think Yes. I want to go to the I forget what the name of it was called, the European one.
Yeah, Cecil.
Yes, I want to go to that with Josh next year. And then I don't want to get completely sucked into only shotgun. I want to keep working on the rifle game. I want to keep working on the pistol game, and I want to keep those up because I'm very confident with both those two guns, and I don't want to lose that by doing too much shotgun. So I don't want to get sucked into doing purely shotgun, but I will try to keep it up to try to hang with Josh a little bit, keep him honest.
So when I guess 3 years ago, Three Gun Show was pretty news. A few months in, I talked to a bunch of people that had gone to the World Shoot in Italy, and a couple got hooked, right? Mm-hmm. So it's either like a competition or it's like, I'm hooked. This is it. This is my thing. And Aaron Hayes is one of those folks. He was back there this year, and has traveled several times to other countries to shoot shotgun as well. So it's interesting that type of environment seems to click for people.
Yeah, IPSC shooting can be very addictive. It's a whole different challenge, and we like new stuff. We like new things and
novelty, man. That's what our monkey brains crave. Something new every day.
Mm-hmm. New is better, right?
Yeah.
And they treat it like it's such a big deal there. So like, there's a golf clap at the end of stages. Like, I mean, dude, like the level of respect for solid shooting in Europe, it's amazing. I mean, like it's crazy. Guys will never have heard of you. You finish a stage and they want pictures and they're like, oh, I mean, they just love the game. And so the level of respect that you get over there as a good shooter is addictive too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a little different here in the States. All the guys I shoot with are my buddies, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody wants a picture with me. Yeah, you go over there though, it's like, oh, I saw you on Instagram. It's like, yeah, that's me. I mean, they all love Instagram and Facebook, and they all see all the videos and content we put out. So it was pretty interesting to have all kinds of people from over there coming over and wanting pictures and doing stuff like that. So it was fun, different experience than we get here in the States.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about the shooting. Scott, you mentioned that you're off to a rough start that first day. Then you had a super long break coming back. So I never know how to take people's evaluation of their performance, because I'll see someone like, oh man, just really had a rough start, dropped a bunch of shots, and then like, oh, they won the match. Like, half the people are either like too hard on themselves, completely full of shit, or what. So how do I know when you're not crying wolf?
No one's ever fully satisfied. Even if you win every stage, you still find holes in your game you can improve on. Mm-hmm. That's never going to change. But the way I started over there was a rough start for me. I did have a very poor first day and a very poor third day. And that was humbling, and disappointing and infuriating. And after those first couple of bad days, I really kicked it up to a new gear. I did not want to disappoint the flag on my back. Did not want to disappoint my teammates. And so I found the motivation in there to turn it back up and get up to at least a top 10 finish. And doing that from where I was, I'm happy with that. I'm not happy how I started, but I'm very happy how I finished that match.
So you mentioned, the pressure of letting down your teammates, the pressure you put on yourself with the flag on your back and everything. It's a lot of pressure, dude. Like, I mean, I feel pressure when I'm on a stage, and I'm not representing anyone but the show, and we make jokes half the time on here. So.
Mm-hmm.
What's that feeling like? And then how did you get your head right on that second day when you had off?
So the feeling is it's intoxicating. That first day feeling, you're so amped up, you're ready to take on the world, quite literally. And
whoa, that is literally.
Yeah.
Blew my mind, man.
And so I got a little too amped up. I didn't reel it back in control, and I shot a little out of control the first day. And it took me a moment to settle back down and stop trying to shoot their game and someone else's game and just shoot my game, what I'm good at. And it's what got me there in the first place. So I need to really do what I need to do and not what they want me to do.
So let's unpack that a little bit. What were you doing that was out of your comfort zone, that was out of your normal game, that was unlike Scott, that you were doing for someone else there?
So there are sections where, and I said before, my strong point is shooting on the move. And so there are some targets out there that I just should not have been shooting on the move. Like, it's a target. You don't do that. You shoot it, then you run over there. It's too far. It's too hard. It's too tight. You can't be doing that. And me in my head, I need to shoot on the move. That's what I do. I got to shoot on the move. I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. I'm Scott Greene, damn it.
No, not that.
Oh. No,
not that. Not that. So I tried to push too hard, too fast, to do too much. And it hurt me bad. But then after a day of that, and then immediately not sulking, but reflecting for the next 48 hours or so was what I needed to come back from that. So
let me ask you, would it be better to have stages the next day where you could just clear your head out and like, it's done, I'm going to go, or that 48-hour period where you're just stewing it?
Oh, I didn't need anything past, half an hour after that day was done. Go home, take a cold shower, put my head in the cold water, and then, just flush it. It's gone. But sitting on that for 48 hours was not what I wanted to do, really. You have a bad day, you don't want to sit on that for 2 more days before you go back. It just
right. With nothing to occupy your mind, right?
Yeah. I would have much rather gone back, shot 10 more stages that same day. I wouldn't have cared. It would have been better than waiting 2 days after that. Yeah.
Okay. So once you had that first day out, what was the strategy coming back in other than, shoot your game?
Shoot, not necessarily shoot slower, but have better visual cues on what I'm shooting at. Let the sight go where it's supposed to go, and just have confidence in what you're supposed to do. I was also over choking the first day. If I saw a tight no shoot, where normally in practice I would throw, say a mod in or an IM in, I would throw a full in just because, to be safe, and then I would shoot down on the move, and then I would miss wide, or then I'd bring it back in tighter and tag a no shoot, and just didn't have the confidence that I had later in the match in the beginning.
And so how did you get that confidence? Was it the additional
just a little reflection?
Okay.
Watching video. Most people take videos to post online, and yes, I do post videos online, but I actually do watch my videos for what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong, usually wrong. And I could see exactly what I was doing. I was taking rapid, quick steps. I should have been taking no steps in this area. I should have been moving faster here. My splits were way too fast on these targets, and just understanding what I was doing wrong, and I was going way too fast, and pull it back in and slow it down.
Got it. So was it a mismatch of style, or is it, world shoot jitters?
I would say it's jitters. Being, not necessarily nervous, but overly cautious. If there's a tight no shoot, I would over choke it instead of just being confident in what I had. I knew I could hit it, but I wanted to be sure I would hit it instead of just doing it the way I've been training to do it.
So was there ever a point, like in that first day or the second day, when you had your reflection period where you're like, I can't believe Froelich talked me into this one?
No, never. No, it was never that. It's how am I going to catch Froelich?
Okay. Well, so let's switch gears a little bit here, Josh. Let's talk about your performance. So I'm sorry, you said you had 2 days before your day off. Is that right?
Yeah. No, let's see. I shot 3 days.
Okay, 3 days.
Yep, and then I had a day off, and then I came back for my last 2. So I had 3 days in, and had a decent match going when the break hit.
So let's talk about that. We know Scott had a little bit of missteps. How did you start off the match, and what was the momentum like? Did you experience any of those world shoot jitters?
I didn't. I mean, it definitely felt it. But the first day was slugs and buckshot for me. So we had 6 stages that were slugs and buckshot, and buckshot is something that it's not my core skill set. Put birdshot in my mags and I know what to do. Buckshot, there's a question mark there. So I ended up having 4 mics and 2 no shoots on a stage, 110-point stage, and
Wow.
I took 40 or like 50 or 45 of those points, and that was my second to the last stage of the day, and so all I kept thinking in my head is I'm like 30 stages, dude. You know how to shoot the bird shot. Like, get the slugs and buck out of the way, and then it's your match. All I have to do, my whole goal. I looked at the match and I figured 1,800 points would win the match, and so I was trying to figure it out based on the total point count in the match. I go into major matches now without a goal of stage wins. I don't care. Like if I don't get a single stage win, I could care less. I'm looking for 90% in a match like this. 90% or above on every stage wins the match. Consistency. And so I looked at the points the first night and that I'd lost after the first day, and walked into the day 2 with like this crazy ball of confidence going, I blew a stage yesterday, but I have 24 stages of birdshot that I can shoot 90% or above. 24 of them, right? And so was able to shake that first buckshot nastiness pretty easy, just knowing that I was about to step into my comfort zone for 4 more days at the match. Yeah.
So now I know, Josh, we've hung out a little bit. I know you, man. I know a little bit about you.
Yeah.
You're not going to stand for that buckshot performance and the slug performance. Like, what's the plan going forward on that?
Oh man. So let me tell you, I already
aren't I?
Yeah. I want in. I already know what's going to happen.
I already started. I shot buckshot the day I got home.
No kidding.
Oh, for sure. And part of what it is really respecting the ammo that's in the gun, and understanding its limitations without the flight control wad. And so I know my pattern. I know what the ammo does. But that's assuming perfect conditions, right? Taking all of the other variables out of the equation, I can hit that shot. Sure.
Right.
But
it's like people, saying, oh, well, 450-yard shot's a chip shot. It's like, bro, I'm guessing you're shooting from a ransom raft at your local club through a giant ass tube, and there's no wind. And
so that's it, right? And so at the match where I really had my mistakes were, it was a stage there were 2 corners of the stage, and then there was this big arch that went up. And so I decided to shoot this stage really, now realizing how risky that was. No one shot it this way, and maybe somebody did, but successfully. But I start in the middle, toes touching or heels touching or something, and I ran to the left, shot like 8 shots, 32, 36 yards, ran all the way across, reloaded to the right, and just shot the whole stage from the back 2 corners, not respecting what was in the gun, right? I didn't respect that the buckshot was in there, and I've got tight no shoots and all of that stuff, and I'm shooting at 32, 36 yards. So all I had to do really was create a third position on that stage, and I had to come out of that in the 90% range too, right? Because I'd have been shooting at 20, 21 yards or 22 yards, and and then I got to stop treating buckshot like it's bird. You got to shoot it like a slug. Because it truly, imagine your flyers, because you're going to get a flyer probably. They come off of whatever the center is. So if you're shooting the edge of that paper, your flyer is going to go another 8 inches to the right. Well, now you're in a no shoot. So I need the dead center pattern on the middle of the 8.5 by 14 piece of white paper, which is what the target is. It's a little tiny, like legal size sheet of paper. And so I need to aim for the dead center of the alpha, super clean trigger press. And I need to add a position if I need to minimize risk to get a better result. And so those are not the areas that I'm going to take risks.
Right.
Yeah. For me, at least at this point, I'm going to be happy with an 80% on those and then a 90% on the bird shot, so I'll take that extra 5 steps and I'll guarantee my good hits. And a couple other things we're working on. So Mike and Lan are asking Briley for maybe a hand on some special choke that'll throw that buckshot like magic. We'll see. Extra long parallels or something like that will hold that pattern together just a little tighter without crushing the wad as it goes through. Because that disrupts the pellets as it's going through the choke. And so we've got to figure that thing out. That'd be awesome if they came up with something that held together a little bit better. But I don't need magic. I need common sense. Magic would be great along with common sense. It would just be, now I'm in great spot, but I know what my limits are at this point. So next year when I go to IPSC in Europe or Russia or wherever, I'm going to come ready to rock with buckshot. I'm going to shoot a ton of it before I go. And then I'm also going to take a few less risks on those stages, understanding that is not part of my core strengths, simply because we just don't play that in the US.
Right. Now, are all buckshot targets on paper?
No, there were some on clays, some on steel, some of that kind of stuff, but the paper targets were scored. Yeah, so they were Alpha Charlie. And so, imagine an 8-round paper stage with some clays and stuff like that. Well, they count 2 scores, so it's 10 points per target. Those paper add up really, really fast. But shooting clays was even weird, right? You're shooting clays with buckshot at like 18 yards.
It was really off-putting, yeah.
Just experience that I didn't have before, and I will be much more prepared for next time I go back.
Right. So how does a clay react to a buckshot?
Explodes. Yeah.
It's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you probably just have to get one pellet on there, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. You won't dust it, but it break apart just like any other clay will.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely gone if you get a good hit on it.
So forgive me, I'm not capturing it. What was off-putting about shooting clays with buckshot?
Just something we haven't done.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's a tiny target. So you go 18 yards and and you've got a full choke or an IM, whatever throws your buck the best for that long paper. And now you're basically shooting a slug at a clay up close, because it's this tiny little target and your pattern's still super tight because they're at 18 yards. Now they're at 7 yards. And so you got to know your holdovers and you got to use them right. And they probably have a no shoot real close by. So if you get a flyer, it's weird. They just made it interesting, made it different, made it hard.
What is different about shooting slugs in IPSC versus what we normally do in 3-gun?
Scored on paper. So there's no shooting steel where you get feedback letting you know you did a good job. Right.
I like to know when I did a good job.
None of that. In fact, so sometimes it's 2 on paper. I mean, there was a 20-round slug stage that, it was condition 3 or option 3 start, meaning totally unloaded gun. And then you've got, 20 shotgun rounds or 12 gauge slug rounds on paper, scored Alpha Charlie Delta, with no shoots on them out to 35, 40, 50 yards. So we're used to being able to react to the ping of the steel in the US or the hit call, right? The RO hit. Yeah. You got it. Right? You get done throwing 20 slugs at paper and you're like, I think I called all those hits. Yeah. Golf clap. And now you want to run around and watch with the ROs to make sure they're all there. And then you get some wad scares, right? You throw a wad through the no shoot.
Oh yeah.
See it from 20 yards away and you're like, no. So you run right over there and okay, no grease ring. Good. But enough to scare you half to death. So it's just different. It's just, we don't shoot paper at distance with slugs in the US.
Yeah, shoot, I can't even remember what we shot at the Gadsden Shotgun Championship. We shot slugs of paper, but yeah, it's something completely different outside of my comfort zone for sure.
Even shooting 2 slugs on paper on the same target was a little different. You do it in
Yeah.
practice. You do it in practice, yeah, but in the match, it's just kind of different. You got a couple of targets side by side, and you're just slinging 4 shots all of a sudden. It's kind of fun, but
Yeah.
but it's definitely
Ka-ching,
something
ka-ching.
different. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's not cheap.
yeah,
Buck a pole or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess if you're gonna spend $650 on a match fee, it's
Yeah.
ammo don't matter.
Yeah, what's $10 in ammo right there,
Yeah, no kidding.
or 20 on that stage? But
Well,
anyway,
Josh, you mentioned then you were coasting after that for or maybe I put coasting in there. Were you coasting on the birdshot stages, or was it still pushing as hard as you can, or were you in like your comfort zone, your groove?
Yeah, so pushing really, really hard on the movement. So came to a realization in like January, February, as I really started to prepare for the match, that I can only shoot as fast as I can see, right? One of Jerry's sayings. You can only
Yep.
shoot as fast as you can see. And that's real when you actually make that mental connection, that it's like, all right, there's a 4 target array here, and I can shoot that at my absolute fastest at, call it, 1.2 seconds. Or I can shoot it and get all 4 hits every time at 1.3 or 1.35. I'm going to shoot it at 1.35 in this match, and I'm going to explode between that spot and the next one. And so, like, the actual movements were as aggressive as I could possibly go. The shooting was what I knew was going to get a hit every time. And so trying to blend those two mentally as I'm going through the stages was really the strategy. Is, all right, I absolutely everything I've got to move, but when it gets into position, I need to dial that all the way back and shoot the sights, and then do it again, and then move. And so that was the way that I shot the whole match.
Mm-hmm.
Was just explosive movement, shoot as fast as I can see it. And shot pretty well doing that style. I'm going to shoot everything that style moving forward, just because I didn't have very many makeups. I probably had, I don't know, 15, 20 makeups in the whole match, 30 stages. You can't afford them.
Yeah.
So imagine you got 8 round field course and you got 10 in the mag. If you have 2 makeups, you're throwing an extra reload. Nobody else is. So
Right.
you can't afford to have makeup shots in IPSC. And so going 1 for 1 on everything was a big deal. And what I realized is it's always faster to hit them on the first try than any splits could possibly make up, with misses.
Mm-hmm. Sounds cooler though when you're just slinging lead down.
Oh yeah. Sounds awesome until you go and look at the score at the end.
Yeah. Well, so that's not something that I had considered was, how detrimental misses are to the game, because, in my head, I just have like open, you've just got, a case of shells attached to your back. Right.
Yeah.
But it's, it is different. Now, do you think it's as critical in open as it is in some of the other divisions where people are stuffing quads and things like that?
I'd say open would probably be open and standard, which is like tack, and standard manual, which is pump, were the critical ones, right? Because you have 8+1 in those divisions plus a match saver or whatever. So you got 10 on the gun, just like us. Modified was maybe a little less of that. You have 14 in the gun, and whatever it was, 20 some stages have 8 rounds on them, right? So there's a little less.
Yeah, there we go.
Load. That's like the real open in IPSC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we found a division for me.
Yeah, so I mean,
I need to get a +2 for my little shotgun back here. My little Breda B12 IS could use an extra couple of rounds.
There you go. But yeah, so no makeups, you can't afford them. And then the 8-round field courses are, between 4 and 6 seconds total. So if you have an extra makeup shot that costs you a half a second to get the hit, or even a second, now you're 8%, 12% off the top time, just with one missed shot, one makeup. Even if everything else went perfect, you're now battling for 90% of the points total on the stage. So it's such a big deal. You can't afford to miss.
All right. So, Josh, I spoiled it earlier. You are the IPSC Open Division World Champion. First of all, golf clap.
Thank you.
Congratulations, my friend. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you very much.
It's an amazing accomplishment, and you should definitely be proud because I know I speak for all Americans when I say that we're proud of you.
Thanks, brother. It was probably the most emotional shooting experience that I have ever had. I've won some matches in the States, but when I sat down the morning of after the match, scores weren't posted, and I got the calculator out and realized that that the Vaclav who took second couldn't have got me because I shot well enough on the last day. It was pretty awesome experience to just sit there and soak it in for a few minutes before everybody else woke up. It was cool.
Did you let yourself have that experience, or did you need the confirmation of the sanctioning body, or were you just like, okay, this is it?
I knew. Yeah, I mean, at the end, I think I got, I was up like 70 points, and I knew what my scores were, and you could see what everyone else's scores were, and I knew the last day I didn't shoot. I shot like 6 stages that were all 90% or above with a couple of stage wins in there, and I walked into the last day 50 points ahead, and so I knew that, and I had more points in my zone than Vaclav had in his zone.
Oh, okay.
And so there was literally no way that he could have caught me, even if he had won all 5 stages, which I knew he hadn't because I was watching him shoot the last day. So, yeah, I didn't need it. I knew it. I knew it internally anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the first person that you told?
My wife. Yeah. I went upstairs and told her that I was pretty sure that I did enough to win the match. So that was pretty cool.
What did she say?
She goes, like the whole thing? I like, yeah. I won the whole thing. She's like, oh my gosh. She's very proud of me. So
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I would imagine from her perspective, that has to be quite the unique experience to, go from like, I know my husband goes away and he comes back, smelling like sweat and salt and mosquito repellent, but I don't know exactly what he does, to seeing you on that stage in the world shoot, and then getting to share that experience with you in the morning as you won.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then even my mom was there too, right? So like both of them came out, and neither of them had ever seen me shoot a stage live, and they probably saw 8 or 9 of the stages, and they were super nervous that they were going to screw me out. I'm like, you're good. I'm like, just don't bug me the last 5 minutes before I'm shooting, and we'll be golden.
And if you could find a taco, that would be great.
Yes.
They were very helpful with coffee.
Sweet.
Let's get fired up. But no, that was awesome to have loved ones join me on the journey, because my wife and family sacrifice a lot of me so that I can train and that I can put in all of the time and energy that I do to shoot at the level that I shoot at. And so it was pretty cool for them to see it live and to see it all pay off.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it was confirmation to me that I'm doing the right stuff and I should keep doing what I'm doing, I think that kind of all sunk in for everybody that was there, that was with me from the family.
Nice. That's such an awesome story, man. It's exciting to hear.
Yep, it was a lot of fun. I don't know if I'll be able to repeat that one with the feeling and all of that, right? I mean,
well, now it's like all old hat, she's like, I don't want to go to Russia. I saw you went in France.
I don't know about that. I think we were even talking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to bring you to Russia. I don't know if it's safe. Like Hungary, let's go to Hungary. So she'll come to Hungary next year. The kids might even come to Hungary next year, which we'll see how that's going to play out. But
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that experience, Josh. And man, this is a hard transition, Scott. So Scott.
Oh, hey.
Scott, you fought back the second day you made it into top 10. So when did you know how you ended up?
I got a text from Lan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lan. So I've been checking scores all night the night before to see if I made the top 8 because the top 8 have a shoot off, and that's all I really wanted at that point was to just have another chance to keep shooting and prove myself. But so I'm checking the scores, and they just don't post them. It's been like 5, 6, 7 hours after the match. There's still no score. It's almost midnight, or it's like 11:30.
No practice score.
Well, practice score had them, but only after IPSC put them up.
I mean, they're republishing, right?
Yeah. So we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally, I just decided to almost go to bed. And I get a text from Lan saying, "You're in the shoot off tomorrow." I'm like, "How the hell do you know that?" And then I get a text from Mig, my teammate, saying, "You're in the shoot off." And I'm like, "Where are you people getting this information from?"
Yeah.
And then I pulled up one last time on the website, and they had a list of the names for the top 8 in every division for the shoot offs and the categories also.
Uh-huh. Who from the U.S. was in the shoot off?
Oh, the entire ladies standard team plus one more. So Becky, Di, Lena, Dakota. Who's the other one?
I don't know.
One more standard lady. Then Brian Nelson, Tim Yackley, Jojo Vadonis, and Migliano were in the senior open shoot off. Then Josh and myself. And I think. Oh, and then Lady Barnes in the open, lady open also.
Oh yeah, right.
And that was I think there was 12 U.S. shooters in the shoot off. I think there was. I can't remember exactly, but yeah. So saw the list. My name was on there. They didn't have the order of finish. They just had the names piled in there. So then I knew I was top 8, and when went to bed. Well, cleaned the gun, went to bed, and then woke up next day to head back to the range. That's when I found out it was top 8 at least.
Got it. So after the hard fought, last 4 days of trying to dig yourself out of the hole, what was it like to know that you were in the top 8?
Satisfying. It's not really satisfied, but kind of mad that I let it go so wild on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
Wish I could have been up there with the podium on Josh, obviously.
You mean higher than Josh, just one step higher than Josh?
I'm happy if there's stars and stripes on the podium. That's where I'm
yeah, and it's one of your buds too, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, yeah, we have a little back and forth. It's fun.
Yeah.
But we both want to win, and I'm super happy. If anyone did beat me, it was him. I'm happy he won the whole thing. I'm pumped for him. Coming for you next time. But
yeah, baby, there we go.
But no, I'm happy. I'm happy if I didn't win it, he won it, and I actually kind of got off track there.
Well, let me help you out. So now you're in the, now that you're in the shoot off, and you're like, hey, this is my jam. I'm gonna go. Oh yeah. So house. Like none of these people got me. I'm gonna shoot this blindfolded. Like what's the thought going through your head there?
So kind of felt like I had something to prove still. I got the 8th seed, so I was the last one in the shoot off, and I'm assuming everyone there is underestimating me. They're like, oh, he got 8th place, and he probably barely got that. He's just gonna be, first round knockout, and then whatever. Let him shoot around, and then he can go home. And I wasn't about to let that happen. I was pissed.
You heard the Rocky song playing in the background.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And slabs of beef.
I was doing stairs at the check-in station before the shoot. Yeah, so I was all pissed off, and I had something to prove. If not for anybody else, for myself, to prove that I deserved to be there.
Yeah,
and then went to the shoot off and kind of let it all hang out and see what happened. And it ended up working out well for me there.
So okay, let's.
Yeah, you crushed me.
No, I didn't crush you.
You crushed my dreams.
I squeaked by you. I couldn't let you have all of it.
Oh no, you shot.
I need some over here. Give me a taste.
Man, yeah, I shot. Scott and I were head to head shoot off on the first round, and
which sucked. But
well, it did suck. Yeah, but
Yeah, because so I'm sorry. Let's talk about the format real quick. So we have the number 1 seed and the number 8 seed. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what's the targetry look like? What's the array that you have to shoot?
Ooh, you go for that one, Josh.
Yep. So you table start, shotgun sitting on the table, load in front of you. So option 1, start, and there's a push button, clay thrower that throws from directly in front of you straight outward. That is your first target. You have to hit that target before you can engage the steel array. And then the steel array is 7 steel targets, with the final knockdown being the layover type that we're used to in a shoot off, right? Bottom target wins.
Okay, so you have 8 targets plus a bird.
7
targets plus a bird, so 8 total.
Okay, so there's 6 in the steel array and 1 layover.
6
correct.
1 layover, 1 bird. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay, cool. All right, so realistically, you got 1 makeup on that bird if you need it, right?
If you're lucky. If
you don't get it, not with the other guy shooting.
No. If you miss the bird, you're kind of screwed.
So how many thrown birds were in the match?
6.
Yeah,
Okay.
6, 7. Yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't a wild card, like you'd been shooting some thrown birds.
Well, the angle was something I wasn't used to, honestly. Is it was directly at your feet and then straight out. I hadn't ever shot anything like that before. It's always tossed or from the side or.
Yeah, I've shot stuff coming from the rooftop, coming from behind me, but never anything like directly under me.
It came out between your feet and shot straight up, more or less.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was something different.
Okay, so first up, America versus America.
Yep.
What went down?
Well, we were both, I think our time on that first shot was about identical. We both came up, crushed the clay, and then across the 6 steel, Scott was taking it away. I hit the steel and just not in time. So he was about a half a target ahead of me, and took me out like a bad habit on the first round.
Single elimination.
Yeah, single elimination, and our 2 plates fell probably within a quarter second of each other.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Bang bang, bang bang. That's all it was.
Yep.
So
we both shot it well. Scott just shot it faster. So, and the same goes for his opinion on me winning the match. Right, like as soon as I'm out, like all I care is I'm like, Scott, you gotta crush the rest of these dudes.
Yeah.
Like if I'm out, dude, you gotta take it. And,
can't take me out and not win this.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that was I was disappointed, but again, same type of deal, right? If somebody's gonna take me out,
yeah,
I prefer it with Scott, and then he took the rest of the match.
Got it. So was your wife less proud of you at that moment then, or?
No, she reminded me very quickly that I had won the match. That because she knows me, and she knows I do not like to lose, and so yes, I was reminded rather quickly that I was still celebrating. And
yeah. It's dude, it's got to be hard. I mean, I wouldn't know, but it's got to be hard to celebrate after a loss like that, right?
Yeah.
I
was bummed
get your head back in it.
For solid 7 minutes until Scott beat everybody else. So Scott before, yeah.
All right, so Scott, take us through the rest of the shoot off and let me know what happened there.
All right, so the second round was against a Russian. I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Vladimir. I think Vladimir was second round. I think Romaniak was the final round, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Vladimir gets up there, and like we mentioned earlier, those clays, you got to hit the clays. We both pick up the guns real quick, push the button, and he takes 2 shots and misses both at that flying clay. And I missed my first shot. Second shot, luckily, tagged it still. And they have these cool clays that are filled with green powder. So when you hit them, you get a big puff of green smoke.
Huh. Do they fly goofy, or do they just indicate goofy?
No, they fly normal, and they just indicate green. Like your normal orange clays, and they'll fly out, and you hit them, and they'll puff green when you hit them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So so I tagged mine on my second shot. He missed both his shots on the first clay, and then it just kind of went cruise control after that because I knew he had to push a button, hit it again, and work his way back in. So I just slowed way down, went 1 for 1, and ended up taking that round. Not easily, but comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final round against Roman Anakin. And I've watched this video I don't know how many times. It's truly hysterical to me. Every shot we both take sounds like one shot. There's 8 splits. If you had a timer on that, you'd only pick up 8 splits.
Oh yeah,
The entire shoot off.
Max Michelle shot timer. We should throw that on there.
Oh, I bet you'll only hear 8 shots
Or
on
shot
that because they are identical. You see green clays and you see holes flying out. You see steel falling at the exact same time. And I'm thinking the only reason I got him on the stop plate was because I had a little bit of I put a mod choke in, I think.
Uh-huh.
I think I did. I'm betting he might have had like an IC in there. And I knocked it down a little more aggressively than he did.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what got me to win. Yeah.
So it comes down to the force with which the plate falls.
Because they were identical shot times for the stop plate.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that was the end of the shoot off. Got real pumped after that.
So immediately you won, right?
Yeah, it was over. That was the final
tabulating
round.
scores. Like as soon as that plate hits the ground, it's over. Like what's your reaction?
I turned around and gave it a big woo. And I was actually had that cold. I had just gotten that cold, and so my voice was a little weird. So I get this real high pitched woo. I posted the video anyway, but yeah,
Your most triumphant moment in your life, and it's
yeah, and I get a little squeak out of there. That's great.
Nice. Well, when you hit puberty, that won't happen near as much.
No, God, eventually we'll see. Have to grow a beard one day too. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, dude, so you're the Open Division Shoot Off Championship of the world.
Yes.
Champion of the world.
Yes, I guess. Yes.
My bad. I just wrote champ down. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Happy for you.
Me too. I'm happy. It was what's the word I'm looking for?
Roller coaster?
It's pretty much a roller coaster of a weekend.
Yeah, I would think so, man. Because you're sitting there like, I didn't perform well. Oh, hey, I'm in the top 8, and then I'm up against Josh, and like, oh, hey, I beat everybody.
I really wish we wouldn't have had to face off. I'm sorry I didn't shoot better and get higher seated, Josh. Sorry, man.
It was like that for the other teams too. So the 2 top Russian dudes had to go head to head as well. Both Romans had to go head to head, and so it was like 2 top American guys go head to head, 2 top Russian guys go head to head, and then it just played out that way. Yeah.
Nice. So Scott, you got a big trophy. You got to stand at the top of the podium. What's that feeling like?
That was incredible. That was cool. They had the stadium behind, and people are cheering, and there's flags everywhere, and the rain had stopped finally. So because it had been raining, all week off and on, and I was sick waking up that day. I had a little nose going cold, and I'll tell you what, I wasn't sick when that happened.
Yeah.
After that last shot, I was not sick anymore.
Found some adrenaline.
Oh man, that was fun. They played "Born in the USA" as we were walking up there. And I got some congratulations from people I hadn't met or people I had been shooting with the whole weekend, from the Finland team and the Ukraine team, and some of the Russians came up afterwards and we talked briefly, and it was fun, something special. It was a good way to end my weekend before I went home and ground my teeth down to nothing on the flight home.
Because of shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Well, guys, you both came and represented the U.S. well. We're excited that you both came out on top. Pretty exciting development there.
America.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We got a lot of responses from a lot of people all over the world that they said, both Scott and I surprised the open world, really, because they had assumed that we might break into the top 20, but our US style was not going to serve us well.
Yeah.
And so,
I'll be honest, man, I've heard a lot of that.
guys.
I think it was the people that came before you. You know, they sucked so bad, or they weren't ill prepared, or whatever. But you came out and represented pretty well.
Yep. So that was fun. That was cool.
Good stuff. Well, guys, we've gone pretty long here, but if you guys have a few more minutes, we do have a couple questions in the YouTube chat. You ready to take some questions?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So Eric Gaskins says, "Congrats to you guys. Couldn't be any happier." Oh, sorry, not a question.
Thanks.
Nick Christensen says, "What's up, fellas?" These are just salutations. Looks like. DJ says, "Hi, shotgunners." He also says, "I'm gorgeous," which is kind of weird.
Well,
just gonna skip the next few here. Ray Coronado says, "Hey, Dave." Hey, Ray. Tobin Babcock says, "Hey, guys."
Hey, Tobin.
Tobin was on my squad at the match. He was a good dude to shoot with for 5 days. We had a lot of fun.
He's got an amazing attitude, isn't he? He's a great squad mate. He's a fun dude to be around.
He definitely is a good dude. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. DJ says, "No practice score for scoring. What was that like? Weird, I bet." No loaded question there, huh?
It was odd. And, the rest of the world got exposed to practice score at the end of the match because they were all like, well, it was limiting how they could see their scores. And so, we busted out the practice score app at awards at the ceremony, and they're like, "What is that?"
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're like, well, here's how, or even the day before when I was looking at like the best possible outcomes, right? The max scores that I could get in the practice score app. I'm looking at that, every night. And when I'm talking to other shooters about it, it's like, no, he couldn't have got me. When we were talking, because the guy's like, "I don't know, I think he's gonna get you." I'm like, "No, I don't think he could." I'm like, "Take a look." They're like, "What is that?" No, they'd never seen the app. So,
nice. Like you had some supercomputer from the future in your pocket.
Yep. No. Yeah, this is magic. No, I know for sure. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I never looked at practice score as like a tool during a match. I always viewed as a distraction, but I guess when the game is that close, it makes sense to use every tool available to you.
I can't ignore it. I look at it every night. At the very least, if I feel like I shot poorly, I'll go in there and I'll be like, "Oh, it's not that bad," because it's usually not that bad, right? I mean, we're so hard on ourselves. And then when I feel like I had a strong day, I like to see how strong it is. That, and then you walk into the last day. On the last day of a match, if you're in contention for the win, like if I'm not gonna get the win, I'm okay with like 4th or 5th, right? Like I want to win. Like second's cool. 3rd, but like they're all a little disappointing. No more disappointing than 4th would be. So like if I'm behind walking into the last day of a match, like I want to know that, because I'm willing to take risks that day, and they may not serve me well, or they may get me where I need to go. But whatever it is, I want to know that so I can do what I need to do to take a swing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
a great way to gauge, especially if you're ahead also, and you have an option to take a tight shot from here or make an easy shot from a little farther over here. You're not going to take the risk if it's not worth it.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
I want to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So DJ also says, "Josh, did you run your world famous 45-degree red dot?"
Of course. Yeah. I don't have any long guns without it. I made it a point to use it on, I think 7 stages for at least one shot. And, just to prove that I use it. I like it. It works. Or maybe I just did that because, I felt like using it. I don't know.
Is that another piece of technology that you brought to the masses then?
Well, the US has picked it up, which has been kind of cool to see. I went from 24 months ago, like everybody looking at me like, "Hey, why does that one guy have a dot on the side of his gun?" Like,
what an idiot.
I know.
Let's get him.
Yeah. And it's been fun to watch. You go to a PCC match today, and it's actually more rare not to have a second dot.
Yeah.
There's truly a value. And, I didn't throw it on there not knowing. It came from an accident, right? Like I knew I could shoot my open rifle around corners better than I could my PCC. And I couldn't understand why. It was just because my open rifle had an offset dot on it, and when I realized that, it just only made sense to throw another dot on my long guns. And so, but yes, I had an interview with Sergey Iganov from Russia. He's like the John Scout and Shooting USA of Russia.
Okay.
And we spent some time on the dot because that was super interesting to him. Why? Because Whiteside's had that, and a bunch of other guys from the US, including Scott, have a second dot. So it's like, what is with that? Why would you need more than one dot? I'm like, well, let's take a look. Grab the gun.
Stage, whatever the zebra stage was. Perfect example why. Perfect stage for that.
Yep, used it for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone that's listening from now on, it's not called a second dot; it's called a Froelich dot. So let's keep that moving. And 10 years from now, we'll look back and be like, "Where did that name come from?" Old man Froelich, dude, he invented that.
Old man Froelich.
Yeah,
it's coming, God willing, unless you get hit by a bus.
Yep. Someday.
Yep. All right. Sean Nelson says, "Hey fellas, hey Sean."
Hi, Sean.
And Herc North says, "Hey Dave, hey." All right, and I think that. Oh no, we got another one. Oh yeah, start answering questions and the floodgates open. DJ also says modified has to fit in a box. Also, how about the Taiwanese spring tubes?
Oh, those are crazy. Those are awesome.
Yeah, you're basically like reloading a box tube kind of thing. Like
so the little toy lightsabers you get that you compress down and you throw it back out. It's like that. It's like that. Kind of.
Just like that.
It was interesting for IPSC. Like there's no application in the US for in open because no one would want to be stuck with just 10 rounds because that is what it is. But in IPSC, I thought they were pretty interesting, ingenious design, auto loading, right?
So no, not those. This is something different.
Oh, this is different. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about the little lightsabers that collapse.
Yeah,
they had a collapsible attached extension tube. Really? So it comes stock at 10 rounds, and then as you load, the tube extends with the rounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see any of those.
I was mistaken at first too, in the way I described it. And Scott, with the lightsaber thing, you baited, you hooked me in.
Yeah. So those were the modified guys shooting those. The open guys had the big sticks.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So Eric Gaskin says, "Did I see when you had to unload show clear, you had to remove a shot shell from the match saber? So none of you guys shot match saber division, but
I do know they could not go stage to stage with a match saber in the gun.
Okay.
And yes, I'm pretty sure yes.
Yeah,
Makes
that's
sense.
considered loaded if there's a round on the gun in any way. So I saw a bunch of the guys that had those. That was like the first round they took off and unload and show clear, so they didn't forget about it. Because the last thing you want to do is get DQ'd for trying to leave the line with a loaded gun.
Yeah. Even in 3-gun, it's a good idea to get that out because once you go throw it back in your bag, it's real easy to shove that thing in your open chamber. So probably best practice.
I've seen that once. Yep.
Seen it, done it. Excuse me. Let's see. DJ says our US style, except that we kick ass. So yeah. Steve Gabara says, "Congrats, gentlemen. Way to represent." And let's see, John Migliaccio, is that right?
Miglacio. Yeah, it's Mig.
Miglacio.
That's Mig. It's my teammate.
Sorry,
yeah.
John. He says, "What's your one takeaway from the match?" Ooh, good one. Scott, you first.
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
Josh, you first.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's go. My one takeaway certainly was that I need to improve at the short courses, especially with timing. So the answer to how I train for that is going to be expensive. I'm going to have to buy contraptions that I put up at home and at the range when I go that provide me that swinging, moving, bobbing style with tight hardcover. But felt like I gave up too many points on all the short courses with all the timing stuff. And it's simply an inexperienced thing because we just don't shoot that much of it here. So
Right.
I'm going to buy some contraptions and shoot that kind of stuff before I go back.
Good. Scott?
It's the training is one thing. I think what I'm going to take away is more of the experience and knowing that I can hang with the best in the world. As long as I do my part and don't get caught up in emotions and the whole event, just shoot my game and let them try to beat me or let them try to beat us. And it's good to know. It's humbling getting your ass kicked on a day or a few stages. But it was a good lesson. I'm definitely going to be a much better for it, having been kicked a little bit while I was down over there, and then fought back. So I think it's gonna be worth its weight in gold. That lesson I learned right there.
Good. All right, Michael Desalar says, "Do you see more shotgun matches catching on in the U.S.?"
I hope so.
Yeah, so, I don't know the answer.
Well, let me ask this: Mike Foley was over there. He's over there. He's USPSA president. USPSA is America's arm of IPSC, right?
Yeah.
So he's over there doing presidential things. Was one of those saying, "Sure, we'll do a shotgun match once, twice, maybe."
I don't know the answer to that. I know that they would be excited, USPSA in general, Mike and the board and all of them, to be affiliated with USPSA shotgun match someone else put on. That would be run under their rule book, much like many of the area matches are run. In USPSA, like the board doesn't run all of the section and area matches, right? Like volunteers in those areas do.
Right.
They just sanction it, and they put their rule book there, and they offer support however they can. And so as much as I'd love to see them put on a national championship or something like that for shotgun specifically, I honestly believe that it's going to be up to us as the shooting population to demand it and to volunteer and put the labor behind it to make that thing happen if we want it to happen.
Yeah. And that I have to, totally agree with you there, Josh, and pile on too. Like if you want shotgun matches, pay to shoot a shotgun match, travel to shoot a shotgun match, and then shoot that match.
Yep. And make it big. I mean, I shot Pure Gold last year, and that was a decent match. I think we had a couple hundred people show up. It was not IPSC. It was a very high round count. It was awesome. I loved that match. You went to Gadsden, right, this year? Yep. And it sounds like that was a cool match.
That match was so much fun. It was a kick in the pants, and it's American style, right? They tried to do some presentations that were IPSC to get people ready, and they had short, fast stuff. They had jungle runs and things like that. So there was something for everyone. They were very cognizant of, our normal consumer does not get off on 8-round stages. So.
Right. Yep. And then Lucas had their 3 match series this year, which I loved. I believe with strategic match design and Lucas, who's a great supporter of our sport, putting in, the effort, we will likely see at least a shotgun match a year. At least that's the rumor mill, that, between those 2 organizations, we should have a pretty awesome 20-ish round shotgun match every year, if not more. Yeah.
Cool. Exciting.
Yeah.
All right. So next one is Troy Allen. Troy says, will you both be returning to Lucas Oil shotgun or PCC?
Yes and yes.
Yeah, you got it. Both.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Right on. Let's see. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, tell me why.
My turn for the win.
No, Scott already talked about this. I won the match. He won the shoot off.
The shoot off doesn't count.
It does. So the next match is Lucas, and you got it last year.
No, me shooting 24 rounds does not count as a match win.
False. Did it count as a match lost for me? Oh yes. So it counted as a match win for you.
Anyway,
time will tell. Time will tell. I want that Lucas PCC match this year.
That's mine. I got my title there.
All right.
Make you work. Make you work for it.
Oh yeah.
This is hands down the best part of the show.
Now it'll be fun because
I should have been talking shit this whole time.
Oh no. It's all motivating.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can see it in your faces for sure. I mean, it's not anger. It's spirited competition.
Yes. Yeah. And there are a few things that I use to fuel the fire on a dry fire session, like the last 10 minutes when I'm like, I should just call it, or put in some serious reps, not like half-ass, like serious reps. And guys like Scott are part of it. And then, trophies that aren't first are the other part. So I got them all lined up in my dry fire space.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I got second and third.
Love that.
Yeah, yeah. My safe is surrounded by second and third place plaques. All the winning stuff is somewhere else.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
All right. Well, hey, I need to set my my earphones down for a minute because you guys see what's going on behind me. I got dry fire targets. I need to show you what's going on behind you. So hang on just a moment.
Okay.
What's behind me? You're scaring me now.
Yeah.
Are you here, Dave?
You got your Vapor. You're good.
Oh, it's in the safe. I'm worried.
All right.
Oh, what we got? Oh, the Becky dump. Gotcha.
I got a Becky Yackley calendar.
Oh.
This is my second place trophy right here, guys.
Nice.
There's 12 months of like, damn it, she beats me every time.
12. One photo for every loss. Is that what the calendar is for?
How dare you? Yes, that's probably accurate though.
But that's what it takes. Seriously, like if I used to have all the stuff where I had won first and stuff like that, right up where I practiced, and it's real easy to rest and like.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm the best, right?
Yeah. That's not gonna get you anywhere. So I had to figure it out because I want to have strong sessions for the whole time that I plan on working on it, and so having somebody like Scott other areas, other things to make sure that I finish those practice sessions strong and I don't take any shortcuts. It's critical to making sure that I get better and continue to improve. Scott goes back and shoots tack or does something dumb, then I won't be as good. I know that. I know I won't improve as much if some of the talent goes back out of the open division. So I'm excited that it's been growing with great shooters.
Awesome. Mig also chimes in again, says, guys, congrats on your performance. You made us very proud.
Awesome. Love you, Mig.
Thanks, Mig.
And then one final one from DJ. He says, I can create a personal head-to-head match for Josh and Scott.
I'd shoot it.
I'm assuming that's in practice score, like the cumulative season average.
That would be interesting.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. There's actually a Becky and Dave one.
Hey, Dave, one thing that a couple things that I kind of teed up before we got on the call today that are IPSC specific that I didn't know about that I thought would be relevant in case other people go.
Okay. Yeah, man.
So when you go to an IPSC match, no matter what, it's like a high school prom week. You will get asked by 100 shooters.
Yes.
If you would be willing to trade jerseys with them.
Oh, you're kidding.
Because in Europe, they trade jerseys. Like no one brings home the jersey that you brought to the match. And so to me, it was super weird. But like I realized halfway through the match that this is a thing. And it's disrespectful to like take your jersey home and not trade it. Wow. So these guys in other countries, they'll wear them at matches. or in some countries where you have to be a sports shooter in order to possess guns, they actually have to wear a jersey to even practice. And so they'll wear your jersey in practice and stuff like that. So like bring extra jerseys if you want to bring a jersey home. Yep.
Jerseys.
Because you will have to trade them off. Like that's a thing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Something else is keepsakes. So like little trinkets and stuff like to remember people by. So like here's one from Dakota Overland that she was.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's got her name like literally on it. Minnesota, Dakota Overland, USPSA.
By the way, I would never think to get lapel pins made with Dave Hartman on them.
No, who would? Right? But, like it's a thing, and like people are like, "Hey, do you have one of those pins?" Because Mig it was awesome enough to put some USPSA ones together, and so like we had some USPSA ones we were handing out, and folks were giving us like patches and like trading, like so it's all about like this camaraderie where you like trade things, and there's this like mutual respect and bartering going on of like jerseys and trinkets and memorable stuff. And so if you go there without a jersey that you're willing to give up and without something to give back, you're going to still be given stuff and you're going to feel like a jerk. So like come prepared, bring things to like give away to shooters from other countries. And even ROs, like you know, the coolest RO I've ever worked with was on one of the squads. His name is Marcus, and I traded him my jersey. I'm like, you got to be like the coolest RO I've ever worked with. And I hung out with him quite a bit. But like, you just, that's the culture. So you just be prepared, be prepared if you go over there.
You know, I love that, dude. And get all sappy for a minute here. That really warms my heart because, you know, all we do is watch the media and how much the world hates us and we hate the world and we're always fighting this and that and the other thing. But when you get down to it on an individual level, people are just people, you know? Yeah. So it's, that's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah. Even countries that, you know, like our government's not agreeing with, right? Like I had a great time with our friends from Russia that are just dudes like you and me. They're cool guys, man. And, you know, like we can't get the sanctions stuff squared away. We can't get, you know, whatever. We can't come to terms on who knows what. I don't follow all of it inside and out, but the people in those countries are stuck, just like we're stuck, unable to like do business with them.
Yeah.
We're the ones that are like victims of like whatever the government's got going on. Cause these are good people that they just want to hang out, enjoy life, shoot guns. They're much like us. Yeah.
I love that, man. That's a great sentiment. I'm really glad that you remembered to bring that one up. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in the spirit of final thoughts, you know, Josh, I think that's a pretty good one there. If you want to go back around again, we can. But Scott, let's
don't make me say anything after that. Come on. Don't do it. This has been the Three-Gun Show. Good night. Wrap it up.
Scott, final thought from your IPSC experience, man.
I want to shoot more of it. I can't. The people, the atmosphere, everything Josh was just saying. It's a whole different experience. It's a whole different environment. It's something I really want to be a part of, and I wish more people would be a part of. If you haven't got a chance to go shoot one, go shoot an IPSC match anywhere, any kind of shooting. I don't care, rifle, shotgun, handgun. I don't care where it is. Just go. Wherever you go, there's going to be good people who are doing the same things we're doing, and travel a little bit, get some experience out there, meet some people, and see that we're all doing the same thing. We all love it.
That's great final thought. Josh, do you want to go around again, or we got you on the people or people?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say just more than anything, it'll make you a better shooter too. So I come back from that experience. I didn't know how to shoot shotgun 6 months ago. Like I am gonna tear 3-gun stages to pieces with my with the newfound shotgun knowledge. Like I put a drum in the bottom of my Dissident this week, and for Nordic coming up this weekend, and I didn't know that I could, do those things with a shotgun, but like, cause everything's close at 8 yards with an IC, I can shoot fast now. Like I could never shoot before. And so like the technical fundamental development, all of that stuff that you'll gain at an IPSC type match and during IPSC training will help you crush in US 3-gunning if you take those skill sets and apply them in our games. And so, give it a shot, put the work in and study some of these other shooting disciplines and they'll make you better.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for spending your Tuesday evening with me here on the 3-Gun Show. Thanks for sharing your IPSC experience. And man, thanks for representing me and all the rest of America at the World Shoot and showing up hard. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, dudes, we are out.